He called me broke. Then I changed his title to X. My husband loved the sound of his own voice boasting at dinner parties about how he'd settled for a humble wife who didn't care for money. He called me broke like it was a compliment, like it proved his worth. That was his mistake. While he crowed, I was quietly rewriting my resume. Harvard law isn't earned in a semester of smugness. It's earned in midnight oil and refusal. I didn't tell him I'd been accepted. I didn't tell him I passed with honors. I didn't tell him I had spent years building a company from a basement prototype into a $50 million enterprise while he was busy practicing his rich husband patter at gala after gala. Why hide it? Because there's a particular power in being underestimated. The day he decided to humiliate me in front of his business colleagues, loudly pronouncing, "I'd never rise above that little salary," I stood and smiled. I raised my glass and said, "Gentlemen, I'll make this easy." I pulled out a printed shareholder ledger, notarized minutes, and a crisp letter from Harvard. The room inhaled. "I'm the founder, the majority shareholder, and counsel to this company," I said. "I'm also a Harvard law graduate." He laughed at first. Then his laughter choked on the ledger. The board had already convened quietly, that weak friends I'd quietly recruited, partners who trusted my vision. They had the signatures to remove him as CEO. They had the paperwork to transfer executive privileges to me. A man who made his life on loud announcements was suddenly speechless. "You always like titles," I told him. "Here's one, former CEO. And here are the keys." I tossed him an envelope. Inside, the title deed to the Las Vegas mansion he bragged about designing. A Mercedes key fob engraved with his initials, both now registered to me. I had quietly bought them months ago. That the ultimate twist wasn't that I took it all. It was what I chose to do with it. The $50 million company? I rebranded it overnight. Half the profits go to a fund for women re-entering the workforce. The other half seed startups led by women of color. The mansion? Converted into a co-living creative space and scholarship center in Las Vegas. The Mercedes? A corporate car for visiting fellows. He stood at the center of a room full of people who once applauded him as a man who made his wife. Now they watched him realize that the woman he mocked had built an empire and decided to give most of it away. He begged. He tried to buy back favor. I handed him a pamphlet about the training programs we'd just funded. "You taught me to be invisible," I said gently. "So I learned where to move unseen. Thank you for underestimating me. If you loved that blind side, you're going to love what comes next. More comeback stories, smarter plans, and sweeter payoffs. Subscribe now and ring the bell. Join the channel where quiet women inherit loud victories."